All right, so Rich and Emmy Nesse. My name is Emmy, and this is Rich.
Rich Dancer. Yep.
Um,
Today is what is this? October 10th, 2020, and I think
I lost track of time.
But we were just in a October 10th, 2020. We were just in when we were invited to a Disastershok meeting, a Zoom meeting. Lena Cuartas invited us, so we sat in, and this is really just. We had some feelings and emotions after, some thoughts in general after that meeting, and so we thought it'd be good to just go ahead and record it while it's fresh on our mind, because for our sakes, for the sake of people who might not have who weren't there for the meeting and might not have this perspective, it could be helpful. So we just wanted to talk about it, right? Where you were, I know you were mentioning the kind of the communal aspect of it, of how empowering it was to be with the group that was talking about it.
So we were in a meeting with adults that have different perspective of how COVID-19 has affected them. They're from different countries, different states, different cities, and we met people from Oregon. We met people from Florida, California, from Germany, right?
Czech Republic.
Republic.
Mexico.
Where else?
Well, obviously Lena, but she's Colombiana.
Yeah, she's
U.S.
Her family from Colombia. So just seeing different people in different perspective, kind of just put things in a different, just how you see things around you versus how you see other people and what they're dealing with. And it's a little bit, eye-opening. It's an eye-opening for me because, we've been kind of lax ourselves too with this whole thing. I think we're still wearing our masks in public. We're, social distancing with people we don't really know. But at the same time, we're in between where, we want things to get back to normal. But then you realize New York too. New York, the lady from New York said that they were at 1%, now they're at 7%. So that tells you that it's far from over. And
some of them were expecting second waves.
Mm-hmm. And we're still. I feel like San Antonio, we're still on the first wave because we shut down right away back in April. So we got a little bit of the cases, but then now it's really, it's our responsibility as personally, it's our responsibility and accountability. But apparently people are getting more lax, and I would say I'm guilty of that. I'm probably getting more lax. We're getting.
I stay the same.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was mentioning about how we're in our home, and school started for Olivia, or her school started the in-person classroom, but she's still going to virtual right now because we're able to.
Yeah,
we're able to. So we're grateful for that. We're blessed and grateful for that.
I can't imagine what it must be, what it could be like right now for a single parent.
Yeah.
That's not working from home, with the decisions and the choices that they would have to make.
Yeah, and you have to put your kids to school so that you can make sure there's food on the table, or there's no childcare. So you have to make that choice. But I was saying that how her school is really close to our house, and we're in this house right now. During the week, commotions are going on, like even how close we are, we don't really know what's going on in school zone, like how there's traffic, probably there's kids going to the school building, and yet we're in here and it feels like it's a bubble. And I said I compare that to how people have their own bubbles, like how things are out versus like how in real life right now. And then you got all those stuff going on, plus you got the protests going on at the same time. Like you got to make your choices, and those are you're trying to social distance, you're trying to protest because, of all the injustice, Black Lives Matter, and then at the same time you're trying to stay alive, and then on top of that you're trying to get your mental health in check.
Yeah.
And you had said that we haven't really said any, we haven't really meant or talked about it. We probably have talked about it a little bit,
not like this. I don't, because they had a very good point. Like all of this is trauma. That's not something I think lately. In general, the culture has been coming around on just discussing mental health a lot more. But I really haven't seen, this is the first time that I remember seeing some type of organized, regard or organized acknowledgement of the fact that this whole pandemic is causing trauma. And I don't think we've taken time to really process, emotionally process everything that's, all the changes, everything that's just, our lives were just suddenly like thrown into, a different realm. And we just, I think, kind of kept pushing like everything was normal instead of really, at least just acknowledging the fact that things are different, recognizing, they had in the, during the meeting, they were talking about, I forgot what she called it. It was like a mood tracker, I think. And I think it's helpful. I think that would be helpful. I don't know if I see myself really doing that, going through and tracking my moods throughout, my emotions throughout the day. But I think we definitely got to do some work in breaking down this stigma surrounding mental health, where acknowledging emotions or feelings is somehow less than. It's got to be okay to do that. Yeah. Otherwise you're gonna like manifest in aggression. It's gonna hurt your family. Like we're gonna keep having these situations where we say we want to be better husbands, we want to be better wives, we want to be better, brothers and sisters, we want to be better just members of society. And until we get to the point where we're willing to acknowledge what we're feeling and start working on that, holistic mental health aspect of things, then it's going to be real tough to get there, I think.
Yep. And then I think seeing yourself, I think you see how small you are too in the world, like not to put you down or anything, but how like Lena said, she's being grateful. Mm-hmm. And how minuscule, how very little we are, and as much as we affect everything that happens around the world, the decisions we make, but then you realize there's a bigger picture out there. Yeah. And we're not even looking, so we're just looking into yourself, and then that kind of put things in perspective, because it doesn't just affect you, it doesn't affect the person next to you, it affects everyone. So when you're not, I guess, in that, to me, if you're not, hear like beeping sound.
Yeah, I think it must be them.
Oh, okay. If you're not, my phone's vibrating. If you're not in that mindset, and then you're seeing all this other stuff going on around you, you gotta ask yourself, are you prepared to take on that knowledge and wisdom that comes with learning about other people? And that's probably like, I don't know if I'm making sense, but kind of the other thing too is like when you're able to kind of admit that this whole thing does, you can act like I'm okay. I mean, you're just dealing with it day to day, and which is the right way to do. But at the same time, have you actually acknowledged like this is changing how I see things? At the same time too, I don't think it's just going back to normal too is gonna just fix it up. I don't think that's the right way to do it. I think this pandemic and being quarantined and everything just not being the way it is from like compared to November is definitely just it's not gonna go back to the way it is. Right. And it's a way for you to kind of just acknowledge like this is a perfect time for you to see things and how you deal with things while there's nothing to distract you. Because as much as everything is a distraction right now around you, when you turn off your phone, turn off your Facebook, turn off the TV, mm-hmm. you're back to dealing with your emotions again.
Yep.
And it helps that you're not, if if you have more time, it helps that you get to deal with your emotions, deal with your what you're dealing with, and like what exactly you're feeling about this whole thing,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Well, and she said that she said three, but I saw six. Like our feelings and emotions come from three places. She had this round, this round circular graph, or and it had, just kind of a cluttered list of emotions on the outer edge, like too many to really recognize and count from the image, from seeing it on the screen. But the closer it went in by levels, and the closer you got to the center, there were just six emotions, anger, sadness, disgust, um, surprise, fear, and there was another one that I can't. I'd have to see it again to remember it. But I think acknowledging those goes a long way, and being able to just to deal with it. And like I said, until right then, we I hadn't even thought to process what is it. Am I feeling anger about the situation? Like, you just know that something's off, something's not right, and it's manifesting itself in other ways. But I think she said it very well. Having the power to acknowledge it and recognize it and call it by name for what it is, goes a long way in being able to deal with it. And especially when she, talking about teachers, and some of them are going through. And she said New York, and I'm sure that's probably not the only place it might be happening. But they were going through legal issues for recording the classes. They're going through possibly not wanting to be there, for stress, for safety reasons. Maybe they don't even want to be there, but they have no choice. They're being turned into frontline workers, in a lot of
Yeah.
situations, and it might be tough for them to cope. She was saying that a lot of people might be considering walking away from teaching as a response to this. And I was, I'm glad to see that they said they're going to work on like a part of their response website, or their coping website, that's dedicated just to teachers. Because I'd hate to see someone, just kind of leave their career behind, or feel pushed out of their career almost, just for having to choose between their life and their livelihood, and versus their career. So
And whether you can survive this whole thing by the end of the year, are you still gonna be, are you gonna survive this pandemic? Because how, we still don't know. We're still we're still getting pieces of information, and it's like, it's once you get it, your chances, they said chances of survival is high, but then how do you know for sure
yeah,
when there's people that died from it?
right,
So it's pretty scary. It's still pretty scary.
yeah. So I mean, I guess in all of this, um, it's cathartic for us to acknowledge that we probably are dealing with it. And we can probably deal with it even better if we recognize it, and learn coping mechanisms, learn how to healthily move through this whole process. And at the same time, I think it's a call to action for people in general, if they haven't thought their way through this, like emotionally wise. I think that it's kind of, at least to put it in your mind, that there's something to what you're feeling, and it probably would benefit you to try and figure it out, and try and understand that this isn't normal, but what you're feeling is a normal response to what's going on, and dig into that. And thirdly, I'd like to, people in general, I think this Disastershok website is a really good idea, with all kinds of coping tips, and different ways to handle it and define it, and process it. And especially when they put out the part of the website that's going to be specifically for teachers, because I have family members and friends that are dealing with it, that are they're teachers, and I can only imagine what they're dealing with. And some of them have children. Some of them are our age, and they've got young children, and they're trying to deal with being a teacher, and trying to deal with being a parent, and a single parent with kids in school. So the website, it's a good resource. It has tips for teaching your kids to handle it and
Breathing exercises,
yeah,
stress management, like kind of like stretching too, right? Those are the ones that's in
muscle
there. Yeah,
relaxation.
muscle relax. There you go.
Yeah, and for the kids, it has those techniques for adults as well. Um, it has, and eventually it'll be a section specifically dedicated to teachers. So I don't care if you come from a culture where mental health talk wasn't cool, where you were taught to fear. Like, don't let we talk about tradition and so many different things. Like, we don't want tradition of slavery. We don't want tradition of white supremacy. We don't want all these different traditions affecting how we deal with life today. And we rail against those. Like, there's a very big, broad movement to rail against those things, and it should be. But at the same time, I don't want traditional, like cultural tradition, to keep me from seeking the mental health, you know, that I need as well. So I don't care what background you came from. I don't care what you were taught, growing up about mental health. If it was me, I'd rather, buck the norms, the trends of yesteryear or tradition, and get help for myself, and to be a healthier person than get caught up and stuck in whatever detrimental way of life were raised in.
Yeah.
So definitely I'll put that link to the Disastershok website. I'll talk with Lena first, and foremost, to see what, if that's okay, or like what would be the best way to do it, or if it's ready. But I'd like for people to be able to connect with that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Cool.